Welcome to our temporally extended symposium on memory, meaning and value. I'm Victoria Harrison, the head of the Department of Philosophy and Religious Studies at the University of MACAU. I'd like to thank you all for joining this symposium on behalf of the Faculty of Arts and Humanities and on behalf of the department. To kick off the event, let me begin with some words of introduction to explain how we came to put together this enticing event that bridges philosophy, museum studies, heritage, art, history, architecture, archaeology, religious studies, cultural studies, and more. The story begins on a day in 2006 when Dr. Philip Tonner knocked on my office door at the University of Glasgow and, with an expectant look, uttered the question, "Are you interested in museums?" This question took me aback. I had always loved visiting museums, but it hadn't yet occurred to me to be interested in them. That changed after 15 minutes chatting with the brilliant Dr. Tonner. I could suddenly see multiple pathways connecting my love of museums with my expertise as a professional philosopher. That first conversation with Philip Tonner led to a successful grant application. In 2008 to 2009, Philip and I were funded by the UK's Higher Education Academy Subject Centre for Philosophical and Religious Studies to run a project entitled Abstracta in Concreta, engaging museum collections in philosophy, theology and religious studies research. As the title of the project indicates, the focus was on the interface between, on the one hand, the abstract ideas and concepts concerning research students of philosophy and religious studies, and, on the other hand, the concrete objects housed in museum collections. The key idea motivating the project was that museum collections are an underused resource of potentially great benefit to many research students within philosophy and religious studies. The goal was to provide these students with the tools necessary to engage critically with museum collections. Through lectures, discussion, and demonstration, we explored how the abstract concerns of philosophy and religious studies could be approached through the concreta offered by museum collections. Working on the project put us in touch both with curators and museum-based researchers, as well as with academics in a range of disciplines across the natural sciences and the humanities. It revealed that, while many practitioners of other disciplines already engaged with the objects in museum collections, this was something novel for philosophers. This realization led to concentrated effort mapping the terrain of what we came to see as the emerging field of philosophy of museums. Another grant in 2013, this time from the UK's Royal Institute of Philosophy, funded a major international conference on philosophy and museums, ethics, aesthetics, and ontology. The goal of that conference was to bring together leading senior philosophers whose work had potential application to the new field of philosophy of museums, inviting them to produce original work to present in this new field. Several early career scholars were also invited to take part. An excellent event was held that consolidated the philosophy of museums as a viable area within philosophy. The conference also resulted in an edited book published by Cambridge University Press in 2016, entitled Philosophy and Museums, Essays on the Philosophy of Museums. This was the first volume of its kind. Further collaboration with museum professionals followed this event, as did further publications and grants. In 2020, Philip Tonner and I co-authored an annotated bibliography for Oxford University Press on the philosophy of museums. This was a significant undertaking because it meant that what had been an emerging subfield within philosophy was now acknowledged as a mature area of research and study. Encouraged by these successes, in 2020, I recruited 2 PhD students, Nicole Lau and Jan Kahambing, and together we have formed a Philosophy and Museums research group here at the University of Macau. As far as we know, this research group is unique in its concentration on philosophy and museums. Nicole brought to the group an interest in heritage, while Jan brought curatorial experience. Having worked together now for 1.5 years, we wanted to organize an event that would build on the now established field of philosophy of museums, while incorporating our other areas of expertise and interest. This is how we hit on the idea of holding the symposium on memory, meaning, and value. Memory, meaning, and value are fundamental to our lives. It is fair to say that without them, our lives would be less than fully human. They would certainly be greatly impoverished lives. The importance of memory, meaning, and value to our lives is, not coincidentally, mirrored in the fact that they underlie museum practices of collection, curation, and exhibition. We collect objects in order to remember, curate them to display their meanings, and exhibit them in recognition of their value. At least this is one of the many ways of putting these terms together with these typical museum practices. Given that memory, meaning, and value have each been the focus of sustained philosophical work, and given that each is directly relevant to museums, museum objects, curatorial practices, and heritage, we presented these 3 topics to our speakers as an invitation to interdisciplinary engagement. Our symposium features 7 guest lecturers, each of whom will present a different perspective under the banner of memory, meaning, and value. Our presenters will be talking to us from the Netherlands, the UK, the United States, Austria, and the Philippines. We are also particularly happy to have 2 presenters who are based here in Macau. Those of you listening who are in Macau are therefore encouraged to join us in person at the University of Macau for in-person talks on December the 13th and December the 21st. Those lucky enough to be here are also invited to our closing reception at 7 p.m. on the 21st of December. As I have explained, this symposium is the result of the work of a research group within the Department of Philosophy and Religious Studies here at the University of Macau. Jan Kahambing and Nicole Lau are to be thanked for their work coordinating the symposium. I'd also like to thank the department's administrative assistant, Maggie Wong, for her tireless help with the organization of the event. Please enjoy the symposium and attend as many of the events as you can. Thank you for listening.